Hey, John Murphy, episode 23, I think. 23. I'm pretty sure it's 23. Um, I've been thinking about maybe since they've been shorter, maybe doing twice a week of the 15-minute podcast instead of once a week, but I don't know if anybody has any interest. I guess if you listen to me once a week, you might listen twice. Who knows? I'm fully aware that I do not have that many people listening, but that's okay. I did not start doing this expecting anyone to listen. I just started doing it as a personal challenge. I thought this week about stopping doing it only because comedy is starting back up, and I've had a few people reach out to me who don't know me and might want to book me. And then we'll say, oh, go check out your YouTube page, expecting to find stand up. And then, oof, they click on one of these videos. They're going to be like, what the? This isn't funny. I started doing it to go the opposite direction of always trying to be funny. But now I realize that my YouTube page is filled with these videos. A lot of burping with Christina. And the stand-up is way at the bottom, but that's okay. The world's opened back up. We'll get some more stand-up videos. Hopefully, put them up ahead of this. It's been very interesting this week because the world is opening back up. Booked on more shows that I've, been booked on in a year and a half, which is good. But I didn't realize until now the part of COVID that was comforting was that nobody was working. And now it's back and I'm kind of faced with where my career is at. And sometimes that can be very depressing. I'm extremely grateful for what I'm doing, that I'm doing stand up. But I am not at the level of a professional comedian that is comfortable with the living they're making off of stand up. I do not make enough money. If cruise ships come back, that's good money, then I'll be okay. But as far as just being a stand up in Los Angeles, I would probably could be considered a failure. And it's not lack of talent, it's just lack of business, the business side of it. I've always just thought of trying to be funny, and there's a business side that you got to work at to make money. So I just this week, I don't know, I was babysitting that. Well, he's 2.5 now. I usually call him the 2-year-old, but now he's 2.5, and definitely going through the rough, defiant, throwing tantrums 2.5-year-old stage. So I was babysitting him on a Wednesday or Thursday. I forget which day it was. And he was just throwing tantrums and having a fit. And then I guess, was not in the correct headspace. So I just started crying, but really bad crying, like uncontrollable crying. I mean, I should have filmed it, because if there's a camera in my apartment, my studio apartment, with me and a 2-year-old both losing our fucking minds at the same time. I mean, I've already talked about how much I love this kid. So you already know that, but sometimes you just get hit when you're in the wrong headspace, and he was out of control. And then I just had this meltdown where I was just like, this is my life. I love babysitting him. I'm not, but I was also like, oh, I'm a nanny. That's all I am. I'm not making money at stand up. This is my life as a single woman in her 40s who did not make a big career living in a studio apartment. Oh, I try and be grateful constantly. I'm very grateful for my life. But there's some moments where you're just like, whoa. Like life just takes me over mentally, where you're just like, it's a hopelessness. The worst thing you can have in life is hopelessness, I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the only reason anyone resorts to like suicide. And I would never, my hopelessness only lasts a few hours. But I'm guessing that feeling, that complete hopelessness is the only reason, like people where it doesn't last a few hours, it has to last. I know there's some people it lasts like days or weeks. So I can imagine that would cause you to do something drastic. Because even dealing with it for just a few hours, you're just like, it's fucking brutal. I mean, I'm old enough now to know that it's going to change. But when these kind of episodes would happen in my 20s, I never in my head was like, you feel like shit now, it'll change. It can change in an hour. It can change in 4 hours. When you're young, I just like, that feeling is like, this is reality forever. It's never changing. This is my reality. So there's something good about getting older and realizing it's going to change. But I'll tell you one thing, though. I was very disappointed that this 2.5-year-old, can I just say Atlas? Can I just call him Atlas, his real name? That Atlas, who's supposed to be like one of my best friends now, did not even notice that I was bawling. Which I think is so interesting because this kid is so perceptive. Like he'll look at me and he'll just be like, Jenny's being funny. Jenny's laughing. Like he always talks in like using my name. He doesn't say like you. He's always like, Jenny is doing this. Jenny is doing that. He's extremely perceptive. Except anytime that I've been crying around him, which has happened a lot in the last 1.5 years now that we've been together. He's never, ever once said, Jenny is crying, which I think is just so interesting. That an extremely smart kid, if he was a normal 2.5-year-old, I'd be like, yeah, of course. But he's like really kind of like next level smart genius a little bit. I think it's weird that he's never. And then because I was in such a bad headspace, I started taking it personally as if he was like an adult. Like, how come you don't ask me why I'm sad? Fucking 2.5-year-old. Why aren't you asking about my feelings? You don't even notice I'm crying? You don't care? This relationship is over. Almost every time I babysit him, I tell him like a couple of the same things. I always say, it's a beautiful day. We're going to have so much fun. I always tell him, you make me so happy. I love being with Atlas. You're my best friend. I'm full of positive affirmations for the child, not for myself, but I'm really good with making a child have high self-esteem. If only I could relate it to my own. But this week I told him, I was like, you're my best friend. And he looks at me and he's like, you're my old friend. For a second, I thought he meant like we've known each other a long time, but I was like, I think he might actually mean I'm his old friend, which is hilarious. Either way. So yeah, that's where I'm at with my relationship with Atlas. We're going through a rough patch. The honeymoon is over. I feel like he's taking me for granted, you know? That's what happens. It's pretty much the same as any relationship. I just realized this just now. It wasn't even in my notes. This is what happens. This is why I don't like adult relationships either. You know why? Because at the beginning, they're so happy to see you. They're like, let's go play. Let's go have fun. Let's spend time together. I love you. And then after a while, they're like, whatever. I don't even care that you're crying. You're annoying. I just want to see my mom. That's why I'm single. Just kidding. I've been very good in not texting any men. I'm done. I'm not going to beat myself up. I went a little crazy after COVID because the world opened back up. But I just realized, and I'm sure I've already said this before, I'm done. I don't want to text anyone for the wrong reasons. So I've been really good for like 7 to 10 days, I think. It's a long time for me that I have not reached out to a male just because I wanted a text back or wanting validation or some kind of validate my existence. Let me know you care, even though you don't. That's okay. I've been pretty good. Trying to take better care of myself mentally, always. We'll see. Could change by next week. I'm doing good right now. Yeah. That's it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Just try and keep the mindset that things change in a day. Feel one way, can change again. I definitely feel like I'm meant to be a stand-up comedian. I do well. I'm funny. But, it's hard at a certain age when you're like, ugh. I don't have a career, but I have to remind myself that very few people really make a great living financially from any artistic endeavor. I mean, if I was a painter, I don't know. What are the chances I would sell my paintings for $100,000? That was my analogy. Okay, good. All right, I think I'm done. All right, maybe I'll do 2 of these a week, just so I can hit like a 30-minute mark. I'm not sure how much I talked today, but it's probably another 15-minute. Is that a word? Another 15-minute podcast. Sometimes I feel like the podcasts are a lot longer if I'm sad, but I guess I should be happy when they're shorter. I don't have as much to, I don't know. Just going to focus. I'm focusing on work. That's all I can do. spent too much time focusing on some boys after COVID, and now it's just work. I'm just going to try and work. So I do have some dates booked, mostly in California. I'm not really traveling much, but if you're in California, jenmurphy.live is my website. If you enjoy this and you want to donate to me, my Venmo is at Jen Murphy Comedy. You can follow me on Instagram at the same. Excuse me. And yeah, that's it. I appreciate all your positive support. Bye. Oh, heart. Bye.